Hello, World History CSET students. Let's finish up our review with preparing you for the essays that will be on the quiz for the Social Science CSET National University course. First thing that you'll be asked to look at, get my notes squared away here and introduce you to the topics for a second. Here are your topics that you'll be asked to confront for that quiz. They are expansion of the Ottoman Empire, which we've already discussed, Confucianism and Taoism, compare and contrast, the French Declaration and the Prussian Code, India versus Japan in the 1990s in terms of industrial growth, and the Protestant Revolution and Catholic Reformation. Let's begin by just doing a quick review of those topics. First thing we want to look at is the Confucianism versus Taoism topic. Two main philosophical influences on the development of Chinese thought and civilization. So using your knowledge of world history, discuss a shared feature of Taoism and Confucianism and analyze a major difference between the two philosophical traditions. Now here, this is pulled directly from the CSET Social Science website. So this is one of their release questions that they've used on prior tests. There, a couple administrations ago, one of my students did actually have this question on the quiz, so it proved, or on the subtest 1. So it was nice that they had reviewed it here on the during the class. Now, you know, like I mentioned before, this is a bit of a crapshoot. So if you don't run into some of these, you do have to just get ready by writing in the same style, both concise, using very specific examples from your knowledge base, from the text that we've studied and from the website, including specifics from the time period. Now let's continue with this question. So Confucianism and Taoism are both Chinese philosophies. Taoism is a more mystical philosophy, emphasizing the individual's quest for harmony with the natural world, much more in touch with balancing yourself with the natural world, less concerned with business stature, political issues. Now, it is seeking a peaceful acceptance of the world and oneself. It is not really concerned with social institutions, but more with relinquishing concern with them, more at peace with life and less concerned about social stature, especially concerns with power in favor of purity of heart that makes one's actions one with the Tao. Confucianism, on the other hand, is about the social world and its traditions, such as the respect for elders and ancestors, its laws and rules, which permeate every social interaction. They are seen as essential for social harmony. Now, they both seek harmony. Notice that. That's a key, because later on with this essay, what you're going to want to do is bring it together to show their similarities. So its laws and rules, this is Confucianism now, which permeate every social interaction, are seen as essential to social harmony. This worldliness, in other words, this focus on having good business sense and a good political sense, is very unlike Taoism, but ultimately the sense of harmony is the goal of both philosophies. One is more worldly and one is more mystical, but they are more like aspects of a single understanding than opposing viewpoints. You can almost see them as working together. You need to have a little bit of both in order to have a successful life in some ways. Read the two passages below, then complete the exercises that follow. Okay, so the French Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizens that was written in 1789 lists a few specific principles, and I'm going to go through a few of those, just two or three. Men are born and remain free and equal in rights. Social distinctions may be based only on common utility. Liberty consists in the ability to do whatever does not harm another. Hence, the exercise of natural rights of each man has no limits except those which assure to other members of society the enjoyment of the same rights. These limits cannot be determined by law. Now notice these all come from Montesquieu, Locke, Hume, not so much Hume, Montesquieu, Locke, Rousseau. Let's see. Law is the expression of the general will. All citizens have the right to take part in person or by their representatives in its formation. It must be the same for all, whether it protects or penalizes. All citizens being equal in its eyes and equally admissible to all public dignities, offices, and employments according to their capacity and with no other distinction than that of their virtues and talents. Now, contrast that with the Prussian General Code written in 1791. The rights of man arise from his birth, from his estate, from actions and arrangements with the laws that have associated a certain determinate effect. Persons to whom, by their birth, destination, and principal occupation, equal rights are ascribed in civil society and make up together the estate of the state. The nobility, as the first estate, is the state, most especially bears the obligation by its distinctive destination to maintain the defense of the state. Only the nobleman has the right to possess noble property. Now, these are obviously going to be contrasted quite obviously. The government in France between the French Revolution and 1789 was controlled by an absolute monarch who strengthened his power by exploiting the divine right theory, or divine right of kings. Members of the first and second estate held many special privileges, such as being exempt from taxes. Everyone else in France society made up the unprivileged class of the third estate. By 1789, French kings had bankrupted the government, partially fighting the war for independence in America. 90% of all gunpowder was from France. It's okay. The members of the third estate had enough. They declared themselves to be the National Assembly, which issued a French Declaration of Rights of Man and its citizens. By contrast, the Prussian General Code could not have been more different. It affirmed the nobles' military power, land ownership, and elite social position. That's it in brief. I have to keep moving here. Democratic governments emerged around the world in the 19th and 20th century, with totals going from a handful of hundreds to the end of the 1990s. Two of the most notable conversions to democracy in the 20th century were India and Japan. With your knowledge of the development of these two nations, compare and contrast how each nation gained its democratic institutions and how the economic conditions in each nation have or have not changed. India was one of the most ancient societies, was most recently colony of Great Britain. Due to largely the effect of Mohandas Gandhi and other activists, India achieved its independence. Now, things you want to point out about India is that while its conflict between Muslims and Hindus is obviously lingering there, but its democracy has not evolved in the same way Japan's has. Its democracy is mired in a bureaucracy, and its poverty is still immense. While it's the largest democracy, it still has problems with basic infrastructure. The change in political theory and leadership, however, did not mean an end to internal strife in India that has long contended with. At the heart of the country's political identity is a religious dichotomy between Muslims and Hindus. The religious conflict has continued for hundreds of years. Another main source of internal strife in India is the economic one. India is the world's second most populous country, and a huge number of its citizens have little or no resources of their own. By contrast, Japan has suffered much less religious and political strife. As a result, the economic powerhouse that is now one of the world's strongest, it's much easier to start a business there, much easier to get going. The Reformation I'm not going to have time for. Hope you get a chance to study that. That's going to be on the test. Good luck. Do well. Please call me, email. I hope these were helpful. Talk to you soon.